Okay, episode number 17. Just going live. Okay, we are live and so welcome everyone. I'm Sanjay Gupta and I would say welcome back again. And this is episode 17 of Salesforce mock interview. And we started with Utkarsh, this mock interview series, and Utkarsh is back with us. Uh, like in last few months, he was busy in some project work in the company. So that's why I just brought Neil for a few sessions, but he also got occupied with the project work. So due to that, few sessions we were not able to do, but now we are back, and every week we'll be having one session on this Salesforce mock interviews. And in if I recap, in last sessions we completed like questions related to admin and development. In development, we completed Apex and triggers. So with this session, we'll be starting Salesforce mock interviews, and today's agenda is to focus on the asynchronous Apex. Right? So we have prepared lots of questions which are common, and they are frequently asked in the interviews. So I will be asking those questions with Utkarsh, and he will be explaining their answers. There will be some MCQs, there will be some straightforward questions where you need to answer theoretically. Okay, so these questions will be helping you. And with this note, I think we can start. And Utkarsh, welcome back on the YouTube channel. People are liking those sessions we did in the last year. So I hope this year also people will be liking whatever content we are creating for them.
Sure, sir. It's a great opportunity and it feels good to be back.
Okay, and just appreciate your hairstyle as well. It's looking too cool.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so moving forward, just wanted to share one information. Like, we are doing these session on behalf of Skill Horizon. Skill Horizon is a partner to Salesforce as a workforce partner. Okay, and if you want to upskill and you want to learn something new in Salesforce, so you can visit skillhorizon.org.in. We are running lots of online and offline programs, so you can visit them, and you can, if you are interested, you can join them. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, and there we have a QR code as well. Like, you can scan this and you can visit the website. Okay, so question number 1. So this is the first interview question, and this question basically is focused on future method. So just wanted to give you a brief idea. Like, in today's session, we'll be focusing on the asynchronous Apex. So it will recap all your asynchronous knowledge. Okay, and this particular question is related to future method. So which of the following statement about future method return types is correct? So future is a method, and with future method we can associate a return type. Now you need to identify a proper answer. So I am asking this question with Utkarsh, and I want you guys also need to answer. In the chat you can write A, B, C, D, which one is the correct answer. Okay, so Utkarsh, you can read the options which are available in front of you. I'm also explaining those. So future method can return integer if associated with @future returns equals to integer. This is the first option. Second option is future methods must always return void because they execute asynchronously and the calling context is no longer active. Third, future methods can return a list of object if the caller stores it in a static variable. And fourth option is future methods can return string when used inside a Visualforce controller. So what do you think, Utkarsh? Which will be the correct answer, and why?
Sir, B is the correct option. As other option you can see, the first one is not in Salesforce. Since we have only one since we have only one thing, that is call out is equals to true, so that we can hit the external APIs. And for the second C option, we can't return a list of as object. And for the fourth one, Visualforce controller cannot you can say change the apex governor limits. That's why the B option is the correct. We can only have the return type as void for the
Yes,
future
you
methods.
are absolutely right. And those who are watching this stream, so basically B is the correct answer. Like if someone is asking you what will be the return type of the future method, so it will be always void. You cannot use any other return type. Just one more question related to this, Utkarsh. If we
Yeah.
talk about future method, so if we discuss about the parameters, so can you tell me
Mm.
which type of parameter we can pass in a future method?
Only primitive types, sir.
Yes, you are absolutely right. We can pass primitive types. And just to add on, can we pass collection of primitive?
Yeah, collection of primitive also is valid.
Right. And like S object and complex data type we cannot pass as a parameter.
Yeah.
Right. You are right. Okay. So this is correct, and whatever Utkarsh explained, everything is correct. So this question you can prepare for the interview. And moving on to the next question. So here coming question number two. And what is the maximum number of future method calls allowed per Apex transaction? So in one transaction, how many future methods we can call? So here four options are available. A says 10, B 25, C 50, and D 100. So if you are watching this live stream, so you can predict the answer. Okay, you can just see the question and answers, and then you can write A, B, C, D in the chat. Whatever you see like is the correct answer, right? And yeah, Utkarsh, because I think Utkarsh, we are doing these sessions after a long time, so less
Yeah.
folks joined right now, but like every week we'll be doing the session, so the regular audience will be there. So right now people are not answering, so I pass it on to you. So if you can answer and explain.
Yeah, sir. 50 is the correct answer, sir.
Okay,
Maximum
50
number
is
of
the.
future method allowed per Apex transaction is 50. And the org limit for the async, which is shared among the batch or queuable and the schedule is 250,000 or 200 multiplied by a number of the user license.
Okay, perfect. And we cannot do a debate on that, because this is decided by the Salesforce. This is part of the governor limit, right?
Yeah.
So these are the governor limits. So here, correct answer for this question is C. Okay, the answer is 50. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on to the next question. So we got one answer from Rashmi. Thank you, Rashmi. You predicted it correctly. So answer is C. So next question. A developer inserts a user record and immediately inserts an account in same transaction. Okay, in one transaction we are inserting user as well as account. It throws a mixed DML error. User moves the account insert into a future method, but his tech lead says you fix the symptom, not the problem. What did the tech lead mean? What is the correct architectural understanding of why the separation works?
Okay, so by this, I think the tech lead mean that by using the future method, yes, it does solve the problem and the error won't be appearing again, since it has moved the insertion of the account into the another transaction by using the future method. And the real problem over here is the Salesforce does not allow setup and the non-setup objects of the Salesforce does not allow DML operations of the setup and the non-setup operation in one transaction.
Right.
That's why it throws an mixed DML error. So in order to fix it, we need to move it to the different transaction. And the correct architectural understanding of this is you can move the in the DML operation of the setup and the non-setup object in a different transaction. But you can't trust a future method blindly, since it is difficult for a developer or someone to debug it, because you can't monitor the future method. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
this
you
is
can
right.
use queuable also.
Okay, one question. Can you identify? You said setup object and non-setup object. So according to
Yeah.
you, which object is setup here and which is non-setup?
Setup object includes like the user permission set and yeah, like so on. And the non-setup object here is account.
Right. So setup object is user and non-setup object is account. Okay.
Account.
And can you please repeat, like you already answered, but what did the tech lead mean? So that part, can you just repeat?
So tech lead mean that yes, you have fixed the problem, like the symptom you have fixed but it's not like feasible problem, like feasible solution. The best solution would be a queuable apex.
Right.
Because then queuable apex, you can chain the method, and there is a fixed execution order, and you can also monitor. You can it can help us to debug the method also.
Right. Okay, understood. So moving on to the next question. Okay, so developer writes @future callouts equals to true on a method. Which scenario will cause a runtime error? So there are total 4 options available. First option says calling the future method from a trigger after a DML operation. Okay. Second is making an HTTP callout to an external REST API inside the future method. Calling this future method from another future method at runtime, and calling the future method from schedule apex. So there are total 4 options available, right? So question is, developer writes @future with callouts equals to true on a method. Which scenario will cause a runtime error? Yes, Utkarsh, you can go ahead. Just pick the correct answer and explain why that option is the correct one.
So C option is the correct option, as future method has a limitation. Like you can't change the future method. Like you cannot call a future method from another future method. So yeah, it will give an error which is named as system.async exception.
Right, you are absolutely right. So guys, always remember there is a thumb rule. Whenever you have future method, so in future method chaining is not possible. If you want to call a future method from another future method, so that is not possible, right? If you want to perform this, then you need to pick queuable apex. But in future method, we won't be able to do the chaining. So if anybody asks this type of question, so you need to remember. And other options we can do, like through trigger, you can call future. For REST, like implementation, you can use future. And if you want to call a future through schedule apex, so those things are possible. But from one future, you cannot call another future method. Okay, so I think you are right, Utkarsh. So we can move on to the next question. So next question is, which of the following parameter type is invalid for a future method signature? I think this I already discussed with you in the first question, but still, like you need to select the correct answer. So here 4 options are available: list of ID, map of ID comma string, list of account, and set of string. So which options you see will be correct? I think here can be multiple options you can select.
Invalid, sir. The question is asking for invalid.
Invalid for a future. Okay. So invalid. Yeah, just select invalid one then.
C, because since account is a S object,
okay.
And you cannot pass subject.
So here A, B, C, if you see, sorry, A, B, D. In A, B, D, we have ID string. So these are primitive data types. So on primitive, we can have the collection. But if you want to pass S objects as a collection, so that is invalid. This is also a very good scenario, and sometimes interviewer will be asking. So this is how, with the help of these examples, you will be able to explain those. Right? Okay, so moving on to the next question. So again, a scenario: 2 future methods, update status and send notification, are enqueued in the same transaction in that order. Okay, the notification logic depends on the status being updated first. In UAT, it works perfectly every time. In production, it fails intermittently. Okay, explain precisely why and why UAT cannot catch this class of bug.
Okay, so both the both are the future methods. So in future method, you cannot predict the execution. Like there is no guarantee of the execution order. Anything can happen first and second. So in the UAT, maybe due to the low loads, like the load won't be that much. So the UAT was functioning perfectly. That's why in UAT we can't catch the bugs, and it was running smoothly. Like first, the update status method was running, and then the send notification. But in the production, due to the heavy loads, I guess it might be running the send notification first, and then update status later. Due to which send notification, since it is dependent on the update status method, so it's not working perfectly. That's why it's failing.
Yeah, I think you correctly answered this. And guys, I think you are also learning from Utkarsh like how to answer these types of scenario-based question. Okay, without getting stuck, without any hesitation, you need to explain the scenario properly. And this is why we are doing these live sessions for you. So this is number 17th session. We already did 16 sessions. So you can watch those as well if you want to become expert interviewee in the like whenever you go for any interview in the Salesforce ecosystem. Okay, I think we can move to the next question, Utkarsh. So next question is a mixed DML error occurs when you perform DML on a setup object and a non-setup object in the same transaction. Which of the following pair would trigger this error? Okay, so here you need to identify which object will be setup and which object
Setup.
will be non-setup, right? So
Yeah.
there are total 4 options. First is inserting account and then updating contact. B, inserting user and then inserting opportunity. C, inserting lead and then updating case. D, deleting account and inserting contact. Okay, so these are the 4 options. So Utkarsh, which option do you think is the correct option here?
In the previous question only, sir, you have asked like differentiate between the setup and the non-setup object. So yeah, B option is the correct, since user is the setup object and the opportunity is the non-setup object.
Right.
And inserting both will create inserting both in the same transaction would create a mixed DML error.
Exactly. So here, guys, option B will be the correct answer because user and opportunity. User is setup object and opportunity is non-setup object. Okay, and rest other account, contact, case, these are also non-setup object. And operation can be anything. DML operation can be anything. That doesn't matter, right? So this you need to remember. Okay, moving on to the next question. So what does system.is future return when called inside a method invoked from a batch apex execute context? Okay, so there are total 4 options. First is true because batch apex is also asynchronous. Second option B, false because it is a batch context, not a future context. C, true only if the batch was started from a future method. And D, it throws a system.async exception. So what do you think, Utkarsh? What will be the correct answer for this?
Sir, system.is future returns true only if the current context is future method. But in this case, we are invoking the method from the batch apex, so it should return false because the current context is batch, so not the future. That's why B option is the correct.
Okay, perfect. So I think we can move on to the next question now. So next question says, when do you use a future method in Salesforce? Explain with a scenario. And I think when we talk about asynchronous apex, so like in real time also when you face an interview, so this type of question may come like you don't have any option, you just need to define like the future method and explain it with the scenario. So let's see how Utkarsh explains it, and through that you will be able to prepare the answer.
Sure, sir. We use future method in Salesforce when we want to run the process in the background. We don't want to monitor like it's a fire and forget process. We just invoke we just call the future method and it run according the if the resource is available or not. It will run according to that, and you can't have anything to monitor the future method. Like there is nothing the Salesforce to monitor the future method, and there is no return type also, since like there is no immediate caller which can store the value of the future method. like, so the return type is void only. And the scenario is like the perfect scenario is if we want to send an email notification through external API by making the through account trigger.
Okay.
Since we cannot call trigger, since we cannot call external API inside the trigger, so we use a future method by using a call out is equals to true, so that we can hit the external APIs. So that is a perfect scenario for the future method in which we can use it.
Okay, so appreciate your answer, and you covered lots of points, so I think it will help viewers to prepare their answers too. Okay, moving on to the next
Yes.
question. So next question is number 10. In an Apex test class, why must a future method call be wrapped between test.startTest and test.stopTest? Okay, there are total 4 options available. So to prevent the future method from actually executing and polluting test data, this is first. Second is because future method cannot be called outside of test context. C option, test.stopTest forces all queued asynchronous jobs to complete synchronously so assertions can be validated. And fourth option is it resets governor limits so the future method gets a fresh set of limits. Yes, Utkarsh.
Sir, by seeing the option C is the perfect one, since test.stopTest will force the asynchronous job to complete synchronously, and so that we can validate the assertion. Whereas D option, yes, it's true, like it resets the governor limit, but we are not using test.start or test stop test for that in case of future method.
Right.
We want to make it from asynchronous to synchronous. That's why we are using test.stop test.
Understood.
And for the
Yeah, so C is the correct one. And in general, if we talk about test.startTest and stop test, so then D will also go. But here
Yeah.
specifically, we can say like C is the correct answer.
for the future
Okay.
method. Yeah.
Yep. So we can move on to the next question. So next is you have a complex wrapper class, payload wrapper, that you want to pass to a future method. What is the correct approach? So option A says pass the wrapper class directly since Apex supports all object types as parameter. Serialize the wrapper to JSON using JSON.serialize. Pass as string and deserialize inside the future method. Second option. Third option, store the wrapper in a custom setting and retrieve it inside the future method. And fourth is use a static variable to hold the wrapper class and access it inside the future method. What do you think?
Sir, since in future method we can only pass the collection or the normal primitive data type, so we can first serialize the wrapper to the JSON and pass it as a string, and then deserialize inside the future method.
Absolutely.
And for the C, like why it's not the correct answer, I'm thinking because in the custom setting, I guess we store only the configuration data, like the not like it is not used for the runtime payloads. We won't use it, like it's not the best practice. And for the D, static variable, you can say, let's say it holds the value only till the transaction ends. Once the transaction ends, the value will be null. But in the case of the future method, first the transaction, like when I'm invoking a future method, the normal that particular transaction ends, and then in the new transaction future method runs. So if we pass the use the static variable, then the value will be null going to the future method. That's why B is the correct one.
Okay, so B is the correct answer here, right? Because
Yeah.
we have a limitation, like if you want to pass the parameter, so it should be primitive or collection. Okay, move on to the next question. So what are the limitations of the future methods? We already discussed lots of benefits. Now, what are the limitations?
Okay. So the limitations of the future method are first, we can't do the chaining. Like you cannot call up future method from the another future method or batch Apex. like it will throw an system.async exception error. Second is you can only pass primitive data types or the collection of the primitive data types. Third is you can only have a return type as void, nothing else. Fourth, you can say the order of execution is not guaranteed in the future method. Fifth, you can only, it's basically the limit only, but yeah, you can include it here itself. Like in each Apex transaction, you can only have 50 future calls.
Right. Yeah, I think you already explained lots of limitations, so that is correct. So moving on to the next question, you have 5 future methods all enqueued in the same transaction. In what order will they execute? So first is FIFO, second is LIFO. FIFO means first in, first out. LIFO means last in, first out. C, order is not guaranteed. They may execute in any order depending on server resources availability. And last option, parallel execution. So which one you think is the correct answer?
C, sir, because this is one of the limitation of the future method also.
Right. Yeah, this is straightforward. Order is not guaranteed. Any method can be executed based on the resource availability, right? So always remember, this is the limitation of the asynchronous Apex. Like order of execution will not be guaranteed because every process will be enqueued and they will be waiting for their turn as per the resource availability. Okay, so we can move on to the next question now. Number 14. So a future method is invoked at 12 p.m. The records it needs to process were changed at 12:0030 after 30 seconds p.m. by another user. What will the future method process? This is a very good question, right? And options are the data as it existed at 12 p.m. when the method was invoked, the latest committed data at the time the future method actually executes, including any changes made after the invoke. It will throw an error due to data inconsistency, and both old and new values because it reads from the Apex audit. So what do you think, Utkarsh, here?
Okay, so I guess B is the correct answer. We will get the latest committed data at the time of the invocation of the future method, because we are passing the primitive data type, like the collection or the normal primitive data, like the IDs. So we can we can do the SOQL and get the records and fetch the latest data. That's why.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, you are absolutely right, because we are passing the IDs, and anyhow in future method we do the query, so we'll be getting the latest data whenever it will start its execution.
yeah.
Okay, so here comes the last question, and it is, why does a future method only accept primitive data types as parameters? What happens if you try to pass an S object? This is a, like, I would say out of these 15 questions, this is the topmost question. Most of the people fails to answer this particular question, like why this is the limitation. So go ahead, Utkarsh, let the community know.
I will try my best, sir. You hyped up the question. Okay, so we future method only accept primitive data type as parameter, because since they run later on, like they don't run immediately. So what Salesforce does is Salesforce keeps the parameters safely until the execution of the future method starts. So primitive data types are simple and easy to store. That's why Salesforce don't have any problem in storing it, like keeping it safe until the method is invoked. Like if you pass the S object in the as the parameter in the future method, what will happen is like first it will throw an error, like the error will be thrown.
Right.
Second thing, why we are not passing S object in the parameter, like let's suppose like I'm passing some account record, okay, in the future method. So then let's say I have invoked my future method at 7, like I've passed the records at 7 p.m. And then some another user came to that particular records and changed some data. But since I've already passed it and Salesforce has stored it, and then at the time of the invocation of that future method, like if the invocation of that like execution of the future method happens at 8, and the changes were done at 7:30, but the Salesforce, since it has already stored the data, it will pass the wrong or the outdated data, you can say, to the future method. As a result, it will give the wrong results as per the expectation. So yeah, that's why we won't pass as object any complex objects. We
Yeah,
only pass the
perfect.
primitive data type.
Perfect answer. And I hope, guys, with the help of these 15 questions, Utkarsh, next slide, please. So I hope with these 15 questions, you will be able to understand future method properly. So this was the very first session that we are doing in this year, and we'll be doing more sessions every week. Now we will be consistent, and every week we'll be picking one of the topics. So I think next week we'll be picking another asynchronous feature that is either queuable or batch, depending on the questions that we'll be preparing. So you can join that session also, and every week on Tuesday we'll be having these sessions at 7:30 p.m. IST. Okay, soon you will be having a proper frequency, and we'll be having one session every week that I will be doing with Shipra. That will be on communication side, and I will restart my hands-on challenge, 100 days hands-on challenge. So I think 22, 23 I already explained. Now I will be restarting that as well. And you can visit skillhorizon.org.in. And if you are interested to get a job in Salesforce ecosystem, so you can join free job readiness training programs demos. You can scan this QR code which is available on your screen, and you can visit the website, explore the courses, and then you can join those, so that you can also reach till this point, so that you can prepare for mock interviews, right? So thank you, Utkarsh, for being with me, and I give whole credit of this mock interview series to Utkarsh, because he motivated me to start this type of series, so that folks can be trained, or they have some mock interview related knowledge in their mind, so that they can crack the interviews. So he's the one who boost me to start this particular series. So that's why it is available in front of you. And 17 sessions are already done. Few more will be there. So this time we are going to have the advanced topics, asynchronous epics. Then we'll pick integration, LWC, Omni Studio, Revenue Cloud. So now it will be consistently available with you.
Sure.
Okay. With
Thank
this
you.
note, yeah, we take your leave.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.